Failure is the topic of the day. We're going to be talking about what it is, how it keeps us stuck, and what we can do to move past that. Hi, welcome to Healing from A to Z with Masterful You and KB. I am, of course, Chris Burke. Failure is a big one. I remember when I was in my 20s, I have an entrepreneurial spirit. I've always been an entrepreneur. And I remember reading a book in my 20s that was really helpful called The Courage to Fail. And I don't remember at the moment who the author was, but it was a wonderful book. And I remember reading the concepts and thinking, oh, that makes so much sense to me. The basic premise being that we cannot succeed until we get comfortable trying, right? Because progress and success is actually built, or success rather, is actually built upon incremental progress. That we begin to master one thing at a time, and then that starts to build into something that becomes an accumulation that we call success. So I remember thinking, yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. What I didn't realize at the time was how much my house, I think of it as my house, but I haven't defined that for you, my inner house. So how much my self-image, how I was seen and thought I was seen as a child, and also my group identities would affect my ability to actually try new things, to be a beginner again. So, one of the things I invite us to do is to go back to thoughts of when we were children and think about the things that you mastered, that you became really good at. Maybe it was video games, maybe it was skateboarding, maybe it was riding a bike, whatever it was, creating, painting, things that you learned as a child that you became really good at. And think about how much time and effort you put into mastering that, how many times you failed, what we would say as an adult, before you got to the point of saying, wow, I'm really good at this. Because what you'll notice is that trying and failing and trying and failing is the process that leads to eventual success. So those failures are just learning all of the ways that something doesn't work, or learning how approaches don't work for us. So we really want to learn to get into that mentality of I'm learning how to master something by going through the natural progress. Or the natural process. So if I try something and it doesn't work, what did I learn from that? As long as I learned something, then I've got something to take that next step. And we really want to think about not the end goal, but all of the steps that are necessary to get there. We tend to think about, people who succeed, however that looks, as being people who just one day arrived at their goal. That's not how it works. I've been working on Masterful You, the premise of Masterful You, for 18 years. So often, when you read a really good book that makes really complicated things really simple, you find out that it's something that the author processed and worked on and developed for decades. That's how this process works. To get something to be really at a masterful level requires us to take all of the steps, to put all of the effort in to finding out what works and what doesn't work, and continually refining that. It's like cultivating your inner world so that your outer world works the way you want it to. So, in other words, I'm inviting us to say, failure is a natural part of the process. Let's not be afraid of it. Let's embrace it and realize we wouldn't be walking today. We wouldn't be riding bikes. We wouldn't be writing even our names had we not, as children, naturally known that learning was a process and we had engaged in that. So now let's think about something that you would like to succeed at, that you think you've been failing at. Choose whatever you think it is. It might be money, it might be relationships, it could be your body, something going on with your body, whatever that is. Write down what it is that you think you're failing at. And then we're going to take a look at 3 things that you think that you have tried and failed in relation, or 3 approaches. What have you tried in relation to this topic? Just write those down. And if you don't have 3 approaches, which you may not, you may find out you've been trying the same thing over and over again. That's great information. Because now you can ask, what are 2 other approaches or 1 other approach that I could apply to this? It's never you that's the problem. In our society, we like to conclude that people succeed or they fail, and that's about the person. It isn't true. It's that the approach that we use, being who we are, where we are in our experience, in our process of learning and growing, either we've already mastered something or we haven't. Either the approach that we use works for us right now at this moment, or that approach doesn't work and we need another one. This is what the process of learning is all about. This is what becoming masterful is all about. Okay, so now we're going to say on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being difficult to get out of bed these days, and 10 being I'm feeling really confident that I'm on the right path and everything that happens is taking me where I want to go. Where are you right now in your experience? Write that number down, and then we're going to interview it. This is the process of what I call owning your experience. You find out where you are, you decide where you're going in your experience, and then you have ownership of that because you're continually asking, where am I right now in relationship to where I started and where I'm going? That keeps us really grounded in this understanding that this is all a process of learning and growing. Okay, so interviewing this number, let's say you're at a 2 or a 3 right now. You're going to say, when I'm at this experience number, I think what? Write down all of the thoughts that you're having. Then write down the feelings. What are you feeling about this experience? What are you saying and doing to yourself and others? What's the internal dialogue? What behaviors are you taking? What actions are you taking as a result of being in this experience? What are you sensing in your body? So just scan your body with your awareness and notice if there's any tension anywhere. It's pretty common to find out that our jaw is tight or our stomach is clenched, or you might even find your toes curled. And then finally, what do you know to be true when you were at this experience level? Great, well done. We actually have workbooks and other supporting materials at masterfulyou.com. So go ahead and look for those. That will help you to go through the process. We actually write down all of these steps that I'm giving you right now that you can apply to any situation to help you to own your experience. Okay, now let's decide where you're going. So on that same scale of 1 to 10, where do you choose to have your experience? Where are you going to get your experience to? And I always recommend that you choose a 7 or an 8, something that feels approachable, but not that kind of 9 or 10, because as you move along in your experience, you start to find out that your experience was much more limited than you thought. In other words, there's so much more goodness that can come into your experience. And so we don't want to kind of block that off. Okay, you've chosen your number. Now let's interview ourselves about what that number is going to be like. What are you going to be thinking when you're at this new number, at this new experience level? What are you going to be feeling? What will you be saying and doing to yourself and others? What will you sense in your body? What will be different? And finally, at this number, what will you know is true about you and your experience? Fantastic. Well done. Okay. So now for the icing on the cake, we're going to use what I call the magic toaster. We're going to use our conscious mind, which we've just set our direction with. We're now going to ask it to do the other thing it's really good at, which is to ask questions, to interview the unconscious and ask for an answer. So we're going to ask, what do I need to know or do to make progress from where I am right now to where I'm going? Your unconscious mind will answer you. Just be paying attention, be on the alert for the answer to come because it can come through any imaginable avenue. If you feel like you got an answer about how you could approach this situation differently, that's your unconscious mind answering you. So pay attention to that and take action on it. So you can go along following your own intuition, your own inspiration, and following this path to a number that you want to get to. And that will absolutely work for you. I've been doing this for years. I've been leading other people through the process of doing it for years. If you're somebody who would benefit from doing it with other people, then check out our programs at masterfulyou.com. I actually find, I know for me, that if I buy a program or if I have videos to watch online where there are exercises to do, like this one, I might put the exercise aside when it gets a little tough, or I might make my way halfway through it or something like that. But really, this process works when you do the whole process, when you follow it through to the end. So if you want help with accountability, if you want a bit of guidance and support, check out our programs. It's still your journey to getting to know you and what works for you. It's just helping you to show up for yourself and also to process what comes up. Plus, frankly, it makes it a lot more fun, in my opinion. Okay, on Fridays, we have Q&A. Judy Forder, my dear friend and colleague, and I do a live Q&A session. So put your comments below, put your questions below, and we will address those on Friday. If you enjoyed this video, if you're still here, bless your soul for showing up for yourself. Please like, share, and subscribe. This journey of healing is one that everyone on our planet will benefit from. So in whatever form we're doing it. So let's all spread the word and invite everybody to take responsibility for their own experience, to own their experience, and let's heal and make this world a happy, healthy place for everyone. Thank you for spending your precious time with me, and thank you for being you.